Michelle Miller for CBS News. This is Eye on America, where we take an inside look at the nation's most pressing issues. We'll introduce you to the innovators and problem solvers who are proving to be the heartbeat of our country. We begin in California, where prolonged drought conditions are having profound impacts on cattle ranchers. Jonathan Vigliotti spoke to two cattlemen who are turning adversity into ingenuity.
Daniel Sinton's family has raised cattle on this 18,000-acre ranch outside Paso Robles, California, for 140 years. But he likes to say he's in the grass-growing business.
When you get so little rain, we're not able to grow grass and we're not able to feed the cattle. That means we end up having to sell them off.
How many of them did you have to sell off?
We sold off about 40% of the cattle this last year, and we probably should have sold off about 60. I know a lot of our neighbors did.
His story is very much tied to the legacy and nostalgia of American cattle ranching. A cow chewing grass, cowboys in a herd roaming a prairie. Even American presidents have owned cattle ranches.
The LBJ Ranch is situated in what Texans call the Hill Country, 65 miles west of Austin.
But things have changed as rain totals have plummeted. The West's historic dry spell is on display from Lake Oroville in California and Lake Mead in Nevada to the Great Salt Lake in Utah. And putting steaks on plates has gotten more difficult, with 87% of the West currently in at least moderate drought. The lack of water is fundamentally changing what it means to be a rancher in the West.
Why did you have to sell them off?
In a typical year, you can run about 1 cow per 40 acres. In a drought year like this, it's more like 1 to 100 acres.
Industry analysts say a majority of California ranchers have had to sell at least some of their cattle because of the drought. But hope may be on the horizon. On a ranch in Winkleman, Arizona, one cattleman's herd is growing.
What are you doing here?
My goal is to make a cow that's a lot more resistant to drought.
Langdon Hill, a retired automotive safety engineer, is now trying to engineer a breed of cow better suited for the drought-ravaged West.
These are the Brahmas. They have a hump, and that's part of their water storage characteristic.
Almost like a camel.
And they'll eat food that a regular cow would just say, no, I'm not eating that. The Herefords are an English breed for beef and milk. When these two cattle cross, we're going to be creating a hybrid animal. They're going to be a more drought resistant and a better animal for an arid part of the world.
So they could produce food while consuming less.
Yes.
How long have you been at this for?
17 years.
Is there a world where your beef will be on shelves in grocery stores?
Yes, but I hope this type of practicing and looking at the appropriate animal in the appropriate environment is going to be on the shelf.
What are you trying to accomplish?
I'm trying to raise cattle without killing the earth, making it a better place.
The success of this crossbreeding will take years to measure. Back in California, Sinton took us on horseback to see his family's Plan B.
The vineyard is a great source of revenue, and it's a low user of water.
In 1972, Sinton's grandfather, pictured here alongside his father and him, set aside 120 acres to plant a vineyard. Today, Avenellas sells grapes to a number of winemakers in Napa and Paso Robles, and they also produce a label of their own.
This is a 2019.
It's delicious. Do you ever see your Plan B taking over your Plan A?
No, because the purpose of Plan B is to generate revenue to sustain Plan A, and Plan A will always be to run this ranch as rangeland, to keep it open not just for us, but for the better of the planet and for the community.
Ranching in America has always been a profession of faith.
Cattle are here because they're good for the land. My family's been protecting this land for 140 years.
But it will also take ingenuity to preserve this American way.
It's really hard work, but I love it so much. I don't know how to explain. There's just something in working with these animals and this land and now engineering what happens with livestock and the earth.
We now turn to a vital effort in Maryland that's helping young people connect with nature amid pandemic lockdowns and isolation. Jan Crawford shows us how outdoor adventures are bringing some joy and normalcy back into the lives of children and teens.
Danae Sullivan didn't always think the great outdoors were so great.
I didn't really like going outside because I didn't like bugs.
But?
So I really was terrified of things flying on me. So my best choice was to stay in the house.
Adios, amigos.
Kyla Jackson says she used to like the great indoors.
I was a homebody, to be honest. I wasn't really adventurous as much as I am now, because I explore everything now.
For the past 6 years, Danae and Kyla have participated in City Kids, a nonprofit program that works to empower children and teens by connecting them with nature.
For me, it reveals stress. Me being outside, just try not to worry about things.
In nature, you can just go away for yourself. If you're around other people, you can step away and go relax.
Danae and Kyla say they get what the experts are talking about.
Fantastic.
Kids need nature, especially after a year of pandemic lockdowns.
Kids were locked in their rooms, they were on their screens.
Yeah.
What impact have you seen that has had?
Talking, anxiety, depression. They aren't as social anymore. They're losing social skills and communication skills because they are locked up inside.
Paige McLaughlin is program manager for City Kids.
DC shut down parks, playgrounds. The message to kids was, don't go outside.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate because the outdoors is so healing.
The healing powers of nature are well documented. Blood pressure, diabetes, attention deficit disorder all improve with some time outside.
Just to walk through trees in an urban park and the symptoms of attention deficit go down with kids as young as 5 years old.
Author Richard Louv coined the phrase nature deficit disorder to capture what's happening in our online generation.
As a species, we are hardwired to have an affiliation with the rest of nature. We need the rest of nature. When we don't get enough of it, we don't do so well.
But most kids aren't getting it. A recent study showed kids spend only 4 to 7 minutes a day of unstructured play outside versus an average of 7.5 hours on electronic media. A study in the UK paints an even bleaker picture. Kids spend about the same amount of time outdoors as inmates in prisons. The lockdowns made it worse. City Kids also had to cancel their programs, including their annual trip to Wyoming, which aims to teach kids things like perseverance and resilience.
Ooh, I don't think I'm gonna do this page.
We do things that are difficult. So we go kayaking, we go whitewater rafting, we go camping, we go backpacking. And we do things that are hard. And
a little scary.
A little scary, absolutely scary, but attainable.
City Kids told me never is not in your vocabulary because you could always do something. As long as you push yourself, you could do it.
The lockdowns hit these high school seniors hard.
It was really sad for me because I even cried at my home. Because it was, I cried because City Kids, it brings a lot of stress off.
And now, as they get ready to head off to college, they see the struggle of stepping back out into the world.
Going back into the real world and going back to your normal routine, that's been really hard.
We're used to being virtual. We're used to just seeing people on a screen.
Being at home.
Being at home, being by yourself, not really doing anything. So it became very difficult.
But they know the answer is right outside.
It's almost like an automatic switch. And you see the happiness return, you see them ready to try anything. It's really important what we're doing now because we see the healing that's happening with our children when we are able to do outdoor activities.
So it's like they come outside and it's like a switch.
Exactly. It literally is a switch.
After the break, we go behind the scenes with the artist Common. He's on a mission to help bring healing and redemption inside a maximum security prison. The Oscar, Emmy, and Grammy award-winning artist Common is on a mission to empower incarcerated people through music. In his home state of Illinois, Common's latest program is creating a therapeutic and collaborative environment inside the walls of the Stateville Correctional Center. Jerika Duncan has more.
Every time I've visited people incarcerated, they say, man, we just want people to know we're human beings.
We were with rapper and activist Common as he unveiled a music studio inside the walls of this maximum security prison just outside Chicago.
One of the things that has allowed me to fulfill my purpose in life is music. And I think this can be such a unifying factor for people who are incarcerated, and also an expression of themselves where they get to learn about themselves and feel empowered and feel like they are valued.
Funded by private donations and by Commons nonprofit, the music program is aptly named A Rebirth of Sound. During the 12-week course, groups of 9 inmates who had to apply to the program will learn songwriting, audio engineering, and music producing.
Give your boy a second chance.
If one of these inmates makes a hit record or it goes viral, a beat, anything, what next?
I mean, that is going to happen. I'm putting it out there. First of all, I'd be overjoyed, and it would be a powerful way for us to hear from them and connect with them.
Now I'm into the youth.
And music transcends so many things.
43-year-old Yarmel Thomas sees music as a way of collaborating with others and connecting with his passion.
Hi.
He says he loves Mozart and even studied music and business marketing in college before being incarcerated at the age of 26.
You said sitting here is a full circle
moment
for you.
Yeah.
How so?
Because when I first was transferred to Stateville, this was part of receiving, and I was in that cell right over your shoulder in 229. And I was extremely depressed and extremely suicidal, taking a lot of cocktail of psych meds. I didn't talk to anybody. Now I'm sitting here conversing with you. I mean, God has transformed my life.
Despite never having a criminal record, in 2004, Thomas stabbed his ex-girlfriend to death. He was convicted of first-degree murder and armed robbery. He's scheduled to be released in 2070.
Do you feel remorse?
Absolutely. There's not a day that I don't think about her. I didn't realize that I had mental health issues. It was just, I had a lot of unresolved anger issues that I wasn't aware that I had.
These days, Thomas is working toward a master's degree in restorative justice and Christian ministry. He hopes to one day be a counselor and says the music program is just another positive outlet.
Music is therapeutic. It allows you to just release whatever frustration you may have at that moment. People judge us based upon that one bad, terrible moment in our lives. A lot of us are no longer that person, you know.
There's a history of critics when it comes to prisons, and they get to watch television. They can go back to school and get degrees. They get 3 square meals a day, shelter. Now they get music. You say what to those people?
You can't just throw people away. I mean, what God didn't throw, everybody makes mistakes. He didn't throw them away. Don't throw us away. Just give us our opportunity.
It's time to try something different. A better day for you means a better day for the staff here. We're all in this together.
Warden Dave Gomez has worked in the prison system for more than 30 years. He says programs like these develop incentives for inmates and create a safer environment for everyone.
Other programs have shown benefits. If you take a therapeutic community, like my previous assignment, which was at Sheridan Correctional Center, it was a therapeutic environment focused on substance abuse. Their recidivism rate was 10 to 15 points better than the rest of the states.
10 to 15 points better?
Yes, ma'am.
This is how I'm feeling. I can't change this.
So why not this? We have to do something different. If you always do what you always done, you always get what you always got.
I want you to express my apologies to my community, man.
Yes, sir.
But for Common, what's always been done, he says, amounts to an unjust system.
When you hear people say, well, wait a minute, you know, these are some of the toughest criminals, whether it's sexual assault, murder, why do they deserve to have music? That's a privilege.
Well, music is a gift for sure.
Anything I say in this song.
One of the things that like scientists can tell you is that, you know, when you're a young person, a lot of things that you do, your brain is not developed to make good decisions in certain ways. And it's no excuse, it's no justification, but it's an understanding. Now, how do we correct things from this point? And I don't believe it should be a consistent dehumanizing of that person. And this country, this is a country of second chances. This is a country of opportunity.
Had an idea to put me in the booth.
Redemption.
And redemption.
You should have seen the scene through the smoke screen.
This system is not serving those who are incarcerated. Redemption should be afforded, healing should be afforded. The music is an opportunity to do that.
According to the Stop AAPI Hate Coalition, 1 in 5 Asian Americans reported experiencing a hate incident in the past year. Hate crimes against Asian Americans have risen dramatically since the start of the pandemic. And the NYPD data shows anti-Asian attacks were up 343% last year in New York City alone. Elaine Keano shows us how a community of seniors are coming together to fight back.
Hit, good, nice. They've been taunted and had close calls, but these Asian American seniors never trained to defend themselves until now. Stop. Septuagenarians like New York City native Mary Yuen.
Good, Mary, good. What do you think is the most important thing that you've learned so far from the class?
To be very aware of your surrounding. And I'm always very aware, but I do have friends who are older or younger. They don't pay attention.
Sammy Yen started teaching these self-defense classes at New York City's University Settlement Center after someone told his dad, who lives in Boston, to go back to China.
He was just riding the subway home, and then, someone verbally assaulted him and his friends.
What did you think when you heard that?
I was really disturbed and bothered and kind of angry, that someone would, threaten my father, and I wish I was there. And so I just felt like I had to, help the people that I can here in New York.
Armed with years of martial arts training, Yen's objective is clear.
The simple goal is just to empower the students to be able to go outside, to do their chores, go to work, and just get home safely. Be aware of threats before they happen and give yourself time to get away.
Mary Yuen now carries that knowledge with her and gratitude for her young teacher.
Keep your eyes on me. Excellent, very good. What do you think of Sammy?
He's really wonderful. He's very dedicated. He doesn't mind if you punch him the wrong way. I don't know. It's like, oh my, it's like, harder, harder.
Sounds like you enjoyed that a little bit.
Too much.
For Sammy Yen, helping elders protect themselves helps him too.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, it really makes it feel like it's worth it, teaching this class and be able to give back to the community. And every time I leave here, I'm very pleased or happy, and I feel like something positive is happening.
Powerful response to a painful reality.
When we come back, we'll show you how 2 childhood friends are tackling food waste, food insecurity, and climate change all at once. Disrupted demand due to the pandemic is preventing some farmers from delivering their crops farm to table. And according to the USDA, food waste in this country is estimated to be between 30 to 40% of the food supply. Now an organization is working to connect farms with a surplus to the communities in need. Catherine Harridge has more.
At this Los Angeles warehouse, they're delivering change.
There's not a crisis of food insecurity in the United States. There's a crisis of indifference. We're growing enough food to feed every person in this country and honestly every person on the planet.
Childhood friends James Knopf and Aiden Riley launched the FarmLink project during the pandemic.
FarmLink is a student-led movement with the goal of connecting farms all around the country that have surplus food to food banks that need it.
One of their first farmers, Shay Myers, asked for help on TikTok.
I wanted to show you one of the ramifications of COVID-19.
With restaurant demand down, thousands of pounds of onions piled up.
Why are you dumping? Why are you dumping? Why are you not donating? The supply chain is broken, guys. If we can't get into the city, we still have to throw them away.
Instead, the FarmLink team connected Myers to food banks who needed his produce.
I looked him up, found his phone number. Hey, I hear you're having some trouble moving onions. We'd love to help.
Did the project take off during the pandemic?
Once we got that early delivery of onions from Shay Myers, the photos and videos of that circulated very quickly, and literally hundreds of emails from people around the country asking how they could help.
For those who work the land, FarmLink's Ben Collier told us it's a heartbreaking dilemma.
Farmers are paying $80 a ton in some instances to throw away food.
Quality foods like these lemons,
the skin is dried,
and papayas,
it got rejected because it has some spots,
end up in landfills, creating greenhouse gases.
What do you want people to know about the environmental impact?
It plays one of the most significant roles in climate change.
It ends up rotting and producing methane. If food waste was a country, it would be the third largest emitter of greenhouse gas emissions.
Our job here at the FarmLink Project is to create a bridge between that mountain of food and that tremendous need.
Any more food over there? Demand is constant with rising grocery prices and double lines at food banks.
We still need that fresh food and the health benefits that it gives.
Now operating in 48 states, last month, FarmLink hit a milestone. 50 million pounds of produce recovered, the equivalent of 42 million meals.
It's satisfying to see how proud farmers are to be able to do that. They take a lot of pride in their work in feeding other people. The last thing they want is for their food to go to waste.
In March, the Congressional Medal of Honor Society recognized Knopf and Riley with a Public Service Award. And last month, they hit the Forbes 30 Under 30. Now they want to expand a paid fellowship program.
If we're designing the future of our food system, it needs to be people from all walks of life.
And not just people who have the luxury to donate that time during the week.
These friends saw a solution where others saw blocks.
I've never been a part of something that felt more important.
Finally, we take you to a popular restaurant in Michigan owned by two immigrants who are introducing East African dishes to their community. But as Nancy Chen shows us, good food isn't the only priority on their menu, but also creating opportunities for others starting a new life in the United States.
Along Detroit's main drag,
Hello, how are you?
flavors of East Africa. Nadia Nijimbere and her husband, Mamba Hamisi, bring the dishes of their native Burundi to the Motor City.
We started to do the pop-ups before we open a restaurant.
And you would sell out?
Yes, in 30 minutes. People was like, what is this food? How do you cook this food? I just put love in it, that's it.
That community support led the couple to start their own restaurant. Its name, Baobab Fair.
What does baobab mean? It's a tree growing in West Africa. It grows without water, but it's growing. Us coming in this country as refugees, we didn't know anybody, but see where we are now.
Nijimbere was forced to flee Burundi in 2013 after facing persecution for her human rights work defending women.
It was a challenge in many ways. You don't know anybody. You discover you're pregnant, not only with one kid, 2 kids in a shelter. It was like a new life.
Burundi Central East.
Hamisi was stuck in Burundi, unable to get a visa. Raising their daughters alone, Nijimbere found support at Freedom House, a haven for asylum seekers. Hamisi finally joined her in Detroit 2 years later, but the former sales and marketing manager didn't speak English and had trouble getting hired.
Sadly, everything was going wrong, and then we were like, you know what? The only way to get out of this situation is to create a business. I used to say it was a lack of opportunity, and then you try to find that exit to survive.
Finding their roadmap through family recipes, they crafted Baobab Fair's menu together. Between the two of you, who's the better cook? Who
She
runs the
is.
kitchen?
She's in the kitchen. Yeah, she is.
He's good to sell my food.
Yeah, the only job I do is to talk.
Yes.
Creating good food isn't their only priority. The couple partners with Freedom House and other local groups to hire refugees from around the world.
It's not just a restaurant. You say it's also a gathering place. It's also a safe space. That's important to you?
Very important. Coming in here with a lack of opportunities, the first thing to have in America is to get the first job. Nobody wants to hire you because you don't speak the language, you don't have the skills, and then people don't have time for you to teach you. Baobab Fair is there to give everybody who are coming as refugees in this country the first chance to know the American work environment.
People like Sadia Douali, who was born in Somalia and is the mother of 2.
I feel like we're family. They understand me and asking me anytime you need help or you need something, you can come to us. Don't worry, we're here for you. And I'm so happy.
Nijimbere and Hamisi were granted asylum in 2017. Their journey that began in Burundi has brought them home.
How does it feel to be so warmly embraced by Detroit?
That's why we say Detroit ni nyumbani.
Yeah.
That is our slogan. Detroit is home. We can't thank Detroit enough. We got our asylum here, we got our kid here, we are operating a successful business here, we are growing here, and so, yeah, Detroit ni nyumbani, as we say.
Did you guys enjoy?
You can find news and more stories like these on the CBS Evening News with Nora O'Donnell at 6:30 p.m. Eastern and again at 10 p.m. Eastern on the CBS News app. For live coverage of breaking headlines 24/7, stream us right here on CBS News, available across all platforms. I'm Michelle Miller. Thanks for joining us for Eye on America.